welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com. Hello, beautiful people of Steelers Nation. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Noah Strackmine, joined every Friday by my main man, Derek the Kid Bell. Derek, Rookie Minicamp is underway. Jerseys are out, revealed, and you are not happy about them, but we'll get to that. And the schedule is out, which doesn't honestly seem as terrible as a lot of people are making it out to be. I think that's because if you suck in the first half, you always have the second half to come back and make up for it. Lots to talk about here. Find us at youtube.com/allsteelerstalk. It's a beautiful day out here in the Berg. Just got back, was sweating my butt off, taking pictures of all these rookies. How you feeling, my friend?
Chilling, man. Yeah, you just got back home from Rookie Minicamp. I just got back home from Disney. It's gonna be a good time.
How was Disney? First time out with the kid.
Yeah, with the kid.
First time out with you. Was that your first time in Disney?
So I've been to Disney when I was a younger kid. I think last time I went, though, I was probably about 5 or 6. I mean, it's been a long time, 20 plus years for sure. My wife's first time going, so it was a good time. Crazy expensive, man. It's like, oh my God. I told my wife that's the first thing I told her when we left the house. I said, no matter what, don't ever tell me how much this cost. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. So, but
that sounds
she did a great job planning the vacation. It was really fun. It was nice to sit back and relax after we went really hard for the draft. I went 5 days and I didn't watch a single player film. I swear to God,
wow.
I didn't pop on any film. All I did was my couple scouting academy assignments, and that's it. So I'm refreshed and I'm ready to go.
That's nice. You needed that. There was a long time there where I was like, Derek might pass out right here on camera. There were times where we would jump in here and you'd be watching film before we even. And I'm like, dude, we have 15 seconds before we're going live. Why are you watching film on players? But that's all right. It's all about the grind. I'm glad that you had fun. I'm glad that it was a good time. Don't look at your bank account for like a whole week.
Yeah,
all right.
Not going to.
In the midst of that, you had to make sure that you let everybody know that you were not happy with the rookie jersey numbers. So we'll start right from there. George Pickens rocking 14. Calvin Austin taking 19. Heath Miller, 83, going to Connor Heyward. Kenny Pickett, obviously, 8. And Leal's 93. Mark Robinson is 90 or 98. Mark Robinson's 93. Go ahead.
Okay.
Have your fun.
Here's the deal. All right. I've never been more disappointed with Steelers Nation than I was the other day about these jersey numbers. First off, Pickens getting 14 is terrible. All right. There is no excusing that. I don't care. He's a draft pick. You could have gave him Tyler Vaughn's 80. You could have had Rico Bussey get out of there. You could have gave him 84. He could have picked anything. He could have taken Anthony Miller, 17. Look, if Pickens stays in 14 come week 1, he's going to be a bust. I got to say it. That's what's going to happen. I mean, we're going to have Limas Swede. He's going to be dropping passes down the sideline in the AFC Divisional round or AFC Championship game, and everybody's going to be upset. But I really am upset about that number, man. I knew they weren't going to give him 1 because of, Gary Anderson, whatever. I get it, but I was disappointed that he picked 14. Here's the thing with the jersey numbers. It's just a swag thing. It's not everything, but it is something. Some players' numbers just look good. Your best players, especially like DBs and stuff, usually wear like 21, 24. Receiver numbers, like we know, like great receiver numbers are like 10, 84, 81. Nobody wants to wear 14, man. That's a terrible number. Pickens has really good swag, but wearing 14 is not it. I'm sorry. I will give a shout out though. That 98 is gonna look good on Leal. I was happy with that. So
the 98 is gonna look. You're telling me
look
that
how bad that
I
looks.
feel like it does look bad.
It's terrible, man. And people sitting there saying like, I got people quote tweeting me and quote tweeting pictures of Pickens with the fire emoji. Man, get y'all eyes checked. When's the last time y'all been to the eye doctor? That is terrible. Stop lying to yourself. And then I have people saying that Minka's 39 was nice. Man, y'all the only ones that think that. 39 is a terrible jersey number. Minka is a great player. Honestly, they need to put Minka in the hall right now because he's made 2 All-Pros and that terrible jersey number. That's what's even more impressive. Troy made 43, which is an ugly number. Look good. Minka doing the same thing with 39. That's even more impressive, man, to me. Like, anybody can go out there. I mean, unfortunately, one thing that I really got upset too, I got to thinking about current Steelers that have great jersey numbers. Devin Bush got a great jersey number. 55 is like the GOAT inside linebacker number. Like 21, if you're a DB, that's the GOAT number.
24.
55.
I got 24.
Okay,
Champ
20,
Bailey.
well, 24 for me is my favorite number because my dog Ike. But 55 is a great number for an inside linebacker.
Yeah.
And what's Devin doing with it, man? I gotta see something. I gotta see something where he got to give it up. We gotta give it to somebody else next year.
That's true. All right, Limas, the Limas Swede reference with George Pickens, terrible. Ray McLeod, terrible. I think he should have took 19. If he took 19, you gave Calvin Austin 14, I'd feel real okay with that.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Who cares? He's 5'7". We have no idea how good he's going to be. We have expectations, but we have no idea how good he's going to be. I think if we're being totally honest, I think Chase Claypool should have had to leave 11. He should have gave that to Pickens and until he proved it. Like if he had a good year, you could be like, all right, you could give it back to Chase Claypool.
Claypool could have went back to 83. That's what he wore at Notre Dame.
That's what I'm saying.
Connor Heyward could have picked whatever number they're going to make, whatever position they really are trying to make him out to be, whatever that is. But yeah, I mean, that's the end of my jersey rant. I'm just telling y'all, man, 14 is terrible. Pickens wearing that is nasty. Y'all are lying to yourselves, and I'm really disappointed in y'all that y'all are doing that to my face too. I can't believe it.
So just to touch on all these, so Pickens terrible. I don't know if he was able to pick his number, which stinks because everybody's going to go buy this jersey. And then next year he's going to have a different number and it's going to be even worse because everybody's going to have to rebuy a jersey. That's why Minka didn't switch his jersey. Minka told me, he was like, yeah, I know 39 is, he called it a dog number. He was like, it's a dog number. It's disgusting. He's like, but I can't change it. People buy my jersey. He's like, so I'm going to just make it a good number.
But that's the thing. The people that had the audacity to tell me that 39 is fire. Minka don't even like it. Minka doesn't even like it. He said that. He don't like it. Stop lying to yourself, man. Yeah, we got to stop lying to ourselves about bad jersey numbers. It's a swag thing, but it is the truth, man. I can't.
Players, so I'm going to touch this real quick because this is an exception for a couple of guys. And I think Jerome Bettis is the key. 36 is such an ugly number. Everybody loves 36. You put 36 on anybody else? No. You put 36 on Jerome Bettis? Yeah, all right, worked.
So here's the deal, too, with the Steelers. With their the non-block style uniforms, like the ones that they wear on a weekly basis, 3 looks terrible. 6 looks terrible. 9 looks terrible. The other numbers are okay, but 3, 6, and 9 are terrible. That's what's impressive about the Pickens selection, though. 1 and 4 in that style of number actually looks okay. It's a terrible number. You don't wear 14. Nobody wears 14. That is ugly. No. Like, you're not, it's just terrible. But I will say, like, Pickens could have wore 15 and it'd have been better. Like Brandon Marshall. Like,
is anybody on 15? Is there 15 on the Steelers roster?
I don't know.
How did somebody give him 14 and not? Yeah. Pickens strikes me as that dude, though.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Like, I don't want to get too cranked up over it because
more cranked up than you are already.
Yeah, than I already am, going on a Twitter rant and then going on a podcast rant. But I'm hopeful that Pickens is going to choose a different number when it comes time to cut the 53 man roster. So when they go to the 53, Enrico Bussey gets cut or Tyler Vaughn get cut. Look, even 80 will be fire. Fire. Yeah. 84, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. You heard it here first. 84, Pickens, you can go ahead and create the bust. He's going to be first ballot.
What if the Steelers somehow pull off 39, which has already turned into a great number, 36, which in my opinion is a garbage number, terrible number, and 14, and George Pickens turns into something? That's just impressive. They go for him. If we're being totally honest, the next thing, all they need left is Pat Fryermuth's got to switch to like a 44 or something just atrocious and make that work as well. Because there's nothing worse than a tight end.
No, and that's 40s. The thing. And that's the thing. Last year's class had great numbers. Najee wearing 22. That was his college number. He looks great there. Pat wearing 88. Fire. Like that's what I'm saying. But we can move on. Yeah. Like I said, I ain't going to get too cranked up. But we are going to revisit this come 53-man roster time. If it comes out in week 1, George walks out there with 14. Y'all are going to hear this rant again. Trust.
Just so before we go on, just so everybody is clear, I did talk to Connor Heyward today. He did say that 83 was not his option. It was handed to him. He also fully understands who Heath Miller is. He was like, yeah, maybe they'll just retire it. I'm like, they can't retire it if you're wearing the jersey, man. That's not how that works. But he does know that it is Heath Miller. I don't think he was like, oh, man, I want 83. I think that was a big thing. Also, him, Cam, and Kenny are all locker mates. I honestly think that they should just put a camera in the locker room directed directly at that corner and just let it rock all season long, because Cam is already awesome. Have you seen the video? Did you see the schedule protector video?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I had to get in bed early because I had to be up at
You were doing you were doing your Disney stuff. You should go watch it. It's pretty awesome. Cam already is making a case for Walter Payton Man of the Year. He should win it finally, and I think they're going to do everything they can, which would mean all of Cam, as much Cam as we could possibly get. I'm all about it. All right, that's a good transition into the schedule, which got released. Honestly, I was much more concerned about it before the schedule came out than after the schedule came out. I thought there was a lot of bad games that could have been headed the Steelers' way. There are a lot of bad games heading the Steelers' way. My thing is that it is so top heavy that once you get into that second 8 games after the bye week, you can make playoff run. And at that point, we'll see what we could see out of Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. They'll have time to adjust. The offensive line will be what it is. They'll have time to adjust. The defense will have time to adjust. Opportunity to make a run. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's on allsteelers.com. What's your thoughts here on the schedule?
I thought the schedule was a big W. Like I really did. I thought the schedule was a dub. I mean, opening up in Cincinnati, I kind of figured that was a possibility just because, Cincinnati's kind of the darling of the division right now, given their playoff run they had last year. The home opener against New England, it is what it is. I don't know.
I don't know
what
that's
to think
as big
about
of a
that.
deal.
It's gonna be different. Like no Ben, no Tom. Like those New England games aren't gonna even feel. I don't know how that's even gonna feel. But I will say, like I knew, I 100% knew. Like this is something that I called, but I called the Watson primetime game. I knew Cleveland was gonna get a primetime game, either at Hines or at their place for Watson's first game against the Steelers. That was 100% lock in my opinion. I do also like getting Buffalo and Tampa out of the way early because like they're not gonna win either one of those games, and it's fine. You can just chalk those up as L's, which is fine. But you get them out early, and you don't have to worry like about them later on. And I mean, no West Coast games. Obviously, we knew that going into the schedule because we already knew the opponents. But not having to travel to the West Coast and then getting a Week 9 bye, like. Week 9 is perfect. That's the exact bye you want. I mean, that's fantastic. So I thought the schedule was a big dub. I liked it a lot. It actually works out pretty good for me for my travel plans too. So it's going to be a good time. 5 primetime games. I know a lot of people are kind of sick of the Steelers being on primetime, even Steelers fans included, because they like those like 1 o'clock kicks. But I think you just got to ride the wave, man, until the Steelers are like bad. And I mean like, losing season consecutively bad. They're going to continue to get 4 or 5 primetime games, man, just because the ratings. I mean, it's such a big fan base.
Yeah, you can't not get primetime games. 5 primetime games are fine. I would much rather Monday night and Thursday night games, and I enjoy that there were at least some of them. Like you had a Thursday night game. It's in Cleveland. I will say this. There's a lot of people talking about how Deshaun Watson isn't going to play. It's a good thing that they're playing the Browns this early. I could put everything I have on a bet saying that Deshaun Watson will play this season. There's nothing that indicates that he won't to this point. Everything that I've heard, everything that's been said has just been Deshaun Watson is not going to get suspended until his civil suits are all done. And right now, the NFL is just letting that chill because I think that they understand that the Browns tried to beat the system, and they're not about that. At the end of the day, the NFL is still the man. The Browns just tried to rework their way through it and say, oh, yeah, nobody cares. And the NFL saw that. They saw how everybody reacted. I don't think there's any chance that Deshaun Watson gets suspended unless it all, if it all ends or something miraculous comes out of something before then I could see him being suspended. I think they are 100% aware that they're going to let him make $1 million this season, and then they're going to suspend him in 2023, which stinks,
Yeah.
but
I
you don't play the game with the NFL.
Now that the civil cases are not going to be really resolved until next year, it kind of seems like a suspension next year could be what happens.
Yeah.
Obviously that's not great, but I tweeted this yesterday, and we can talk a little bit about this. Granted, we've got how many months now? 4 months until the opener in Cincinnati, but I still, even with Watson, and I've been very vocal that, like, obviously I think Watson makes the Browns a really good team. I think Watson's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like, sideshow stuff aside. As a player, Deshaun's fantastic, and he's going to make Cleveland good. But I was going through the rosters the other day by the pool, and I was just like, I still feel like the Steelers match up fine with Cleveland. I mean, I obviously Watson's going to change the dynamic, and I don't know how Stefanski's going to revolve his offense around him. But, like, I still feel like they match up better with Cleveland and Baltimore than they do with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's why I think that opener in Cincinnati is so interesting to me, because I think, like, it's going to answer questions that I have about the Steelers immediately. And I think
just how close it'll be will answer questions.
Yeah, and it'll be, for me, I really want to see, like, for one, the big thing is, like, did Cincinnati do enough to improve their offensive line?
Yeah.
And then did the Steelers do enough to improve their secondary? Like, that's what those two, because those two things, were big factors in the last matchup. Granted, James Pierre, really had rough goes both matchups last year. But I'm interested to see, all those weapons that Cincinnati has. Do the Steelers have the personnel to match up with that? That's what I'm interested in seeing. So
I think there's a lot of teams in the first stretch of games that answer a lot of that. The Bengals, obviously, for everything that you just said, the Browns, to see how real the Browns are, because I don't think that has anything to do with the Steelers. But if the Steelers can prove, like, hey, we still have the Browns under control, that's a big positive for Pittsburgh. The Bills, obviously, I mean, at some point you have to see how well you can match up against Buffalo. And I think at that point, either if it's Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, the Steelers will have a good understanding. The quarterback will be somewhat developed by then. That's a good game to see how much farther this team needs to go to be able to compete against Josh Allen, which I think is the perfect time for that without really affecting the league. Tom Brady is what it is. But, you have the Dolphins, you have the Eagles, the Jets, it is what it is. There's those teams in those first stretches that I think you could look at your team, say, all right, we have a lot of tests. They're not detrimental to this season. We'll see how we do against them, and then you could adjust going into the bye. And then you come out of the bye, and you got nothing. Like, almost nothing. The Bengals again, which if they lost both times to the Bengals this season, I wouldn't be surprised, but that's more of a Bengals thing than it is the Steelers thing. The Colts on Monday Night Football in Indianapolis is going to be absolutely huge, huge. And then after that, you play the Ravens twice. I'm not super concerned about the Ravens until I see who the Ravens are, and maybe the Raiders, but, like, if you really think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to lose the day after the Immaculate Reception 50th anniversary at home on Christmas Eve at night, you're crazy. Like, crazy.
But you talked about, like, just the measuring stick aspect, regardless of if it's Trubisky or Pickett, like, entering the season, like, we're going to immediately know kind of where the Steelers stand. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at, obviously, the Bengals, we already talked about that, touched on that. The Browns, we touched on that. But, then I look at, like, Buffalo and Tampa. To me, just on paper, Buffalo and Tampa are two teams that are Super Bowl or bust. I mean, they're Super Bowl contenders, like, 100%. They got two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen's probably, if I had to put my money somewhere to win MVP, I'd put it on Josh Allen. So, getting to stack up against those teams, it's going to tell us how far the Pittsburgh Steelers are away. You know what I'm saying? Say if I know they beat Buffalo last year and things didn't, pan out the way that the Steelers envisioned it. But we're going to get a sense of, like, all right, how close are the Steelers from being contenders again? You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of the fan base is higher than, like, Vegas and around the NFL is, because a lot of places are putting the Steelers 7.5, 8 wins. And I see, like, all over my Twitter timeline, 12-5, 11-6. So like the fan base is really, confident, but I'm interested in seeing, because I think those two games will kind of show you like, all right, how far away are we from being contenders again? Are we a year away? Are we 2 years away? Like, in what areas do we have to improve next season? Because that's really, I know this is going to be, come off a little bit negative, but for me this season, I have no expectations for the Steelers. So like,
No.
I want to get a good feel about where Kenny Pickett's at, and then I want to see the defense do what it's supposed to do, because they didn't do that last year, and some of that was, kind of due to injuries up front. But I also think that they were massively underachievers last year on that side of the ball, which really wasn't talked about because of how bad the offense was. But I want to see the defense play well, and then I want to see what the Steelers have in Kenny Pickett, and like we're gonna figure that out really soon in the schedule.
I agree. I think that the schedule is built perfectly to test everything that the Steelers need to test. Let's go through the schedule real quick. My prediction the other day was 11-6, but if we're being honest, I'd like to go through it again to really give a deep dive here. I'll let you go first on these. Week 1 in Cincy. Who you got?
I'll say loss.
All right. 0-1. Week 2 at home. Patriots.
I think they win that game.
All right. 1-1. I agree. I think that they I'll toss mine in here too, I guess. Week 1, I'll agree. Loss 0-1. Week 2, I would agree. Win 1-1. Week 3, Thursday night football in Cleveland. If this is Deshaun Watson versus Kenny Pickett, there might be more Steelers fans there than Browns fans. That could be a real thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one to guess, because I don't know about.
Let's assume Deshaun plays.
All right, I think they split with Cleveland if Deshaun plays. So if he doesn't play, if he doesn't play, I think they sweep Cleveland.
Yeah,
just because I have no reason to believe. I mean, the worst Steelers team like ever swept them last year. And the only thing that they really like added of note, in my opinion, I mean, they made some other moves, and I'm not saying Amari Cooper is like a freaking scrub or anything, but I just don't really know if any other moves really move the needle enough for me to say like, oh God, it's really Deshaun Watson. Like, I think Watson's going to make everybody else better, but if he's not playing, I mean, I definitely think the Steelers win both matchups. If he plays, I think they split. So let me look at the schedule here. I'll say
I'm gonna go. I'll go 0-2 or 2-0 if he does. I agree with you on that one. Deshaun Watson plays, it's a game changer.
I'll say they lose that. Or I'll say they win. I'll say they win that third one. I'll say they win that.
Win Thursday night in Cleveland. All right, I'm about it. Week 4 versus Jets.
Win.
That's a win. That's a win. Week 5 in Buffalo.
Loss.
That's a loss. Week 6 at home against. Oh, Tom Brady's coming to Pittsburgh. That's nice. At home against the Bucks. That's a loss. All right, 3-3. Week 7 in Miami. Might have to make the travel down for that one. Against the Dolphins. Primetime game.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's a tough one. I think that's the second toughest game that you have to predict.
Yeah.
On this
schedule. I feel like they're going to split against Miami and Philly on that road trip, but I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out who I think they would match up. I'll say they win. I'll say they beat Miami but lose to Philly.
Beat Miami, lose to Philly.
Yeah, so okay. I think I have them at 4-4 right now. Is that right?
4-4 right now. I think that they. Oh man, I believe that they might sweep that series. Tua is a big question mark in my eyes. So is Jalen Hurts. And I see where everybody's coming from, because Kenny Pickett's a question mark. Mitchell Trubisky's a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll agree with you on that one. We'll split that one. So heading into the bye, 4-4. That's not terrible. It's not good, but after that first stretch, that's not terrible. Week 10 against the Saints, who literally just signed Jarvis Landry about 4 minutes ago. So you now have Jarvis Landry to deal with at home against New Orleans.
I think they win that game.
Yes, I also have that as a win. I mean, the Jameis Winston factor it's not very impressive to me. Week 11 at home, Sunday Night Football against Cincy. Do you have them losing both games?
Oh, man. That was a tough one.
That's a tough one. I will say I have them losing. I don't think they beat Cincy at all this season.
Yeah.
And that's more of a Cincy thing. Again, I think that I don't – everybody wants to knack on Joe Burrow. That team went to the Super Bowl. And until proven otherwise, that team went to the Super Bowl. So that's where my standard's going to sit.
Yeah, that's tough. What do I have them at right now?
You Matt 5-4.
Yeah, I'll say they lose that game.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, to Cincy. All right, 5-5. Week 12 in Indianapolis, Monday Night Football. Matt Ryan versus the Steelers. I'm going a loss.
I think that's a lot. I'll guess loss too. I mean, I think it really just, again, that's going to depend a lot on a million different factors. But I look at how much the Steelers struggle to stop the run, and I mean, Stephon Tuitt, is he back? We hope so. If he's back, that game looks a lot more realistic to win, in my opinion.
I think the Colts that's who I thought was the most challenging game to predict in this is Indianapolis. Yeah. I think Indianapolis can win the Super Bowl. I also think that they could sit exactly where the Steelers are going to sit come the end of the season at somewhere around like 11-6. So what do we have, Matt? 5-6 right now, heading into week 13 at Atlanta. I think that's an easy W. So 6-6, home against Baltimore. I'm going to chalk that one up to a W as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think they win. I think they split with Baltimore. So one of those, I know they played them twice in the last 5 games. I think they split with Baltimore.
All right, so 7, even at 7, well, they'll win that one. So 7-6 heading into.
They beat Carolina.
Yeah, 8-6. Week 16, Raiders. There's no way. Like, Art Rooney's like, we're going to have a celebration. We're going to do some stuff. There's no way. Dude, I'm not missing Christmas to go watch a football game, to go cover a football game. I'm not missing Christmas to go cover a football game for the Pittsburgh Steelers to lose. It's not. They understand that. I understand that. I'm going to have a full conversation with Kenny Pickett and TJ Watt beforehand to let them know the situation that they're putting everyone in. They're not losing that game. It's not happening. It's at Heinz Field. It's going to be snowy. At that point, Vegas will be so warm and cozy over on the West Coast. They're going to come to Pittsburgh. They're going to freeze their butts off. TJ Watt's going to have 3 sacks. Kenny Pickett's going to win a game. Probably going to wear 1 glove. It's going to be so cold.
Yeah, I got that one as a loss. I know it's a good thing that the Steelers aren't having to travel to Vegas or to Oakland because they freaking struggle there more than anywhere else, it seems like. But it's kind of like the same thing as the Cincy thing for me. I just think Vegas has so many weapons, and I don't know if the Steelers have the people in the back end to cover them. I think if Derek Carr is ever gonna take that leap into like the good Kirk Cousins tier, like from that tier into like actually really good quarterback, it's got to be now. I mean, I do have some questions about the offensive line, but like Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams, I mean, it doesn't get. I mean, there's not, but maybe 1 or 2 trios in the league that even rival that. I mean, probably Tampa, Cincinnati, but I don't know. I don't know who's covering Devontae Adams, so that's why I'm picking Vegas. I mean, I love my guy. I love my guy, Kilo, man, but I think we're putting some unrealistic expectations on my dog.
I agree with that one. I agree with the analysis. I'm still going, there's no way. Like, I will be so disappointed walking home to my car, snowing. I already see the situation. I'm on the phone with my mom. It's 3 in the freaking morning. Or I guess at that point I'm on the phone with Santa Claus. And I'm like, dude, you couldn't even let them win. Like, Now I got to go home and write negative things all day on Christmas. No, it's a no. All right, the Ravens, you said they split. I agree with that. At the same time, though, I don't really trust the Ravens, so I could see that going to a win. That being said, the realistic expectation here is to split them. So right now they are 8-8 heading into week 18 against Cleveland. Make or break here.
I think I have them one game under that, and I think they win at Cleveland in the finale. So I think I have them at 8-9.
How do you have them at 8-9?
Do I?
I think you had them at 8-8 heading into week 18.
Hold on, let me count.
Losses: Bengals, Bills, Bucks. One of the Dolphins or the Eagles.
Philly 4, and then Cincinnati's 5. Indianapolis was 6. Vegas
Ravens
was 7. Okay.
Yeah, so 8.
And then 8. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
At home,
I think
week 18.
I think they beat Cleveland though.
Yeah, I do too. Unless,
especially, I mean, they're gonna. I think they split. So the whole offseason really, I kind of thought that if the draft played out the way we thought it was gonna go into with a rookie quarterback and a receiver on day 2, we didn't know the players, but I kind of thought if this played out this way, the Steelers are gonna be between 8 and 9 wins, in my opinion. I mean, I think that's a realistic expectation. Now, could they exceed that? Absolutely. I'm just saying, man, like I don't know if we've ever had this. I feel like Vegas is always a little low on the Steelers. So I do agree with Steeler fan, like a lot of people on my timeline about that for sure. I just I don't know. It seems like this is the biggest disconnect that I can remember on social media between like a Steelers team and like where everyone else in the league / the numbers or analytics sees the team. Like, I feel like I look on my timeline and everyone's talking about the Steelers as like, basement dwellers for the division or for the conference. And then I look on my timeline for the Steelers fans and everybody's saying double-digit wins. So I don't know that I've ever seen that. Even when, I had a Twitter in 2012, 2013 when they was 8-8.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst teams before, this year or last year. I mean, there wasn't this much positivity then.
There's a lot of positive. I think it's because there's change. Like if the
Kenny
Steelers
Pickett.
pulled it out, it's Kenny Pickett. If
It's
the
Kenny
Steelers pulled out last season, and the Steelers were bad last season,
they overachieved.
terrible.
Like that's what I mean. That's my theory. I agree with you. I think it's last season, and everybody's saying, well, this team's not good, but we won 9 games. We feel like we've gotten better. The only thing I will caution with that is like, you just have to be realistic about it. Because literally, if you ask fan bases of all 32 teams, everybody says they've gotten better this offseason. That's not possible.
Yeah. It's impossible.
This is not how the game works. So
I mean, and maybe everybody did get better, but if everybody got better, the Steelers are still bad. That's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always feels like they got better. It's just, and we're just like kind of making these predictions just kind of for fun right now. But I mean, you look at like the team could look different, come week 1. I mean, we could see a trade. We could see, we could have more clarity on Stephon Tuitt. We could, they could go through the 3 preseason games and we could look at this team differently. Like, say we go through the 3 preseason games and like Pickett or Trubisky just lights it up. I mean, just like absolutely lights it up. And, or say, for example, maybe Devin Bush lights it up. And you're like, he's, not only is he back, but he looks like the player that we thought he was coming out of Michigan. Like, that could change the outlook. So, I mean, I wouldn't get too like, enthralled, I guess, with the predictions in May. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But I still think 8-9 wins is realistic. I think the over from Vegas is smart money, but I don't know about the double digits. I think that's a little much for my blood.
I think 11-6 might have been a real stretch now that I re-look at things. But I do see, just like you said, there's upside. There's a lot of upside. Right now, we're working with a team that we don't know if Stephon Tuitt's going to come back. Everyone assumes Devin Bush is still going to stink. Everybody assumes that Kenny Pickett is just a baseline rookie. and a lot of people assume Mitchell Trubisky's still the starter, and that those expectations can't be very high. People don't know what's going to happen with the wide receivers. Everybody has a boatload of questions about the offensive line, the defensive line, the cornerbacks. We have no idea. Come August, this is a whole new team we're talking about. Could be worse. Could be a very scary team to talk about.
Injuries too. I mean, you just never know. Obviously, we don't want to wish that obviously on anybody, but like that's just the reality of the game. Like they're going to play 3 preseason games, and unfortunately, guys are going to be banged up. I mean, who would have you couldn't have predicted that Kevin Dotson was only going to play a couple games last season. You couldn't have predicted that Juju Smith-Schuster was only going to play a couple games last season. Yep. Even with the murky kind of clarification that we got on Stephon Tuitt really going into the season last year, like I don't think anybody actually thought that he wasn't going to play all year. I mean, at this time, going into training camp, I don't think anybody really thought that was going to be the case. So I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. The big thing is, man, like rookie minicamp, this is just that next thing to talk about, and it's a stepping stone to being where everybody wants to be in this football season. And I think that's exciting in and of itself.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions in the upcoming weeks. I guess OTAs is at the end of the month. So I think that's when we see a lot of things. We get answers about Stephon Tuitt, answers about the offensive line. A lot of things change, and we'll retouch on all this. We got 2 questions in the comments here. First one is it's all good. Bengals first game, missed it. No big deal. We both have losses, unfortunately. Just seems as if Cincy's just a better team right now. And things could change. Something could happen. You never know what's going to happen. But on the road in Cincy, Joe Burrow's only going to get better, I believe. That team's only going to get better. It's hard to say. It's hard to say no. Plus, your boy Daxton Hill's over there. I was listening to Mike Hilton the other day say that he already looks like a pro. That's terrifying. But
Dax was pro ready last year. He's ready for the big leagues.
He might kick Mike Hilton out. I mean, how do you play both of those guys?
I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I don't really care a ton for Cincinnati in general, but I'm really intrigued on where they're going to play those guys. Because I mean, Dax. There were some teams that I heard at the combine that liked him at boundary, even though he played in the slot last year. He played deep, which they have Jesse Bates back there, so they don't need him back there. But then they also. Yeah, but they need a boundary corner, but they also drafted Cam Taylor-Britt. So they did. And then some teams, had Britt as a safety. So is he gonna play? Is he gonna play boundary cornerback or is he gonna play safety? Like I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. Cincy is interesting because I think their weaknesses, they did attack them in the offseason. I just don't know how they're going to pan out for this year. I don't think I'm as crazy about the offensive line upgrades as everyone else is. I think Lyle Collins is a good player, but I also think that TJ Watt is they're not going to leave him over there one-on-one. No. But my big thing is how are they going to sort out the secondary in Cincinnati? And then really Burrow, to me, we've talked about Burrow a lot on here, just in game previews and everything else. Burrow, to me, regardless of if he has a good offensive line or not, he's going to take a lot of sacks. That's just his game. He likes holding the football. So you look at time to throw and next gen stats and stuff, Burrow just loves to hang on to the ball. Because he's a playmaker. So you're going to have to understand that you can keep improving your offensive line. And they needed to do that because it was terrible. It was a mixture, though. Burrow took a lot of sacks last year just by being him. He's going to still do that. So I'm interested to see, what's the improvement going to be like? Because, I mean, he got sacked 60, 70 times last year. Yeah. Even if he gets sacked 40 times, which I think is very realistic, that's still that's a big improvement. But I think people are expecting, just because the Bengals signed a bunch of players for them to go down to 25, 30 sacks. No. I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen. Especially because they got to play Pittsburgh twice, and they're going to get to Burrow, 3-4 times at the bare minimum, just off talent alone.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore twice a season. Yeah. That's 4 games where you can guarantee multiple sacks. That's just who Burrow is. I agree on that one. But still, at the end of the day, since he's got a lot of question marks, but they're still a very good team.
It's the same. This is the same thing, too, that we saw happen kind of just a couple years later than Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland got better over the last 2 seasons. And why is that? Because they had top 5 picks every year. So eventually, unless you're just bad, in Cleveland, they botched like Baker's development or whatever by playing him while he's not hurt or whatever was going to happen with him. But like, you just look at Cleveland, they had top 5 picks every year. That's how you get the Denzel Wards. That's how you get the Myles Garretts. And like for Cincinnati, that's how you get the Joe Burrows. That's how you get the Jamar Chases. So like eventually the NFL's parity is designed to do this. It's designed to take the Cincinnati teams that are really bad or the Cleveland teams that are really bad and make them good teams as long as you draft and develop well. And I think, they've had some really big hits. Burrow had a really good season last year. I think Jamar Chase is already a top 5, top 10 receiver. Same way that Cleveland hit on Myles Garrett, one of the best players in the league. Denzel Ward just signed a huge contract, one of the best corners in the league. It just happens, It just hasn't happened for Pittsburgh because they haven't been bad enough to get there. And who knows that they will. They may hover around 500 like we're predicting, and they won't have the chance to get there.
The Pittsburgh Steelers will not have a top 10 pick for a long time, at least in the Mike Tomlin era, and especially now, because you have guys like even that defense alone, even with all the question marks, will not carry you to a 4 and would that be 12 record, 13 record these days. That's just not going to happen. The Steelers will always have a mid to late round, first round pick. It is what it is. They land on guys like TJ Watt all the time. They know how to develop outside of that. They get their Cam Heywards and, their Kenny Pickett's. They kind of got lucky with Kenny Pickett, but that's just how it is. All right. Case and Lee. I want to touch on this real quick. Tyler Snead out of ECU. So this dude showed up at Rookie Minicamp today. He was the first person I noticed because he's 5'3". No lie, 5'3". The dude is super short. Reminds me of Matthew Sexton. The Steelers tend to love their Matthew Sexton type guys. Ryan Switzer before that. I don't know what the guy's official height is, but let me tell you, he wears number 20, and he stands out like a sore thumb because of how small he is. It's crazy how short this guy is. That being said, in 3 days, when we're back on here, if he impresses me this weekend, I will be the first person to say, Tyler Snead balled out. And then in OTAs, if he does it again, I'll be the first person to admit it. I'm not saying he's not gonna. I'm just saying, for everybody who doesn't know who Tyler Snead is, pay attention to him, especially if you love the little dudes. If you love the Calvin Austin shocked me. That I have a hard time realizing how small guys are until I see them in person. Calvin Austin's small.
Oh, he's short.
He's short. He's as short as me, and I'm a short guy. I'm short. There's certain guys along the way. Snead might be the shortest. He might be the smallest one I've ever seen.
5'6".
Small, dude. Small. Yeah. He was standing next to a couple of linebackers when they were doing special teams drills. And honestly, if he wasn't wearing a jersey, I would just think he's like Danny Smith's son. Yeah, I was just all right, he's just hanging out here. And I'm sure he's good. I thought that about Matthew Sexton last year, but, Cheddar Bob impressed. That's what happens. I don't know. There's those guys. Devin Bush, the first time I interviewed Devin Bush, I looked him right in the eyes, and I was just like, this shouldn't – I just looked up at Cam Heyward, and now I'm literally staring at your forehead.
Devin's small, too.
Small. There's a lot of short guys like that. So he's a guy – I just wanted to touch on that, let everybody know. Maybe Kaysen knows what's good, and if he does, I'm all about that life. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I hope everybody enjoys Rookie Minicamp this weekend. I hope everybody enjoys the beautiful weather here in the Berg and probably all over. Derek's about to go sleep for the next 3 days after crashing from Disney. I'm about to go cover a Pens game. We appreciate everybody jumping on to another episode. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. We'll be back next week. Peace.